And many of America's largest companies, such as Amazon and FedEx, plan to either call out sick or walk off the job, hoping to send a message that they need better protections and benefits.
On May 1st?
On May 1st.
On May 1st.
We are walking out until our demands are met.
PPE for all shoppers.
Distancing and protective equipment.
Safety guidelines to be enforced at all times.
Real paid sick leave now.
Expanded paid leave.
Real paid sick leave.
That workers can actually utilize.
Close and clean facilities.
With COVID-positive employees immediately with pay.
Hazard pay.
Hazard pay.
Hazard pay.
As you just heard, the workers are making several demands, including more PPE, hazard pay, as you just heard, and better sanitation policies. But is this protest more likely to help or hurt them? Joining us now to weigh in is Alfredo Ortiz, President and CEO of the Job Creators Network, which advocates for free enterprise in the workplace. Alfredo, do you think the workers will receive the help they want, or could this essentially backfire on them?
You know, what I'm looking at, I mean, if you just see the numbers from today, I mean, let's kind of set some context just first and foremost around that. 30 million people at this point unemployed over the past 6 weeks. GDP almost at a 5% drop. So the reality here is that we really have an economic slowdown, unlike anything we've seen in our entire lifetimes. At this point, probably even further and even worse than the Great Depression from the 20s. So we really do have an issue here. And so I think in reality, when you look at what companies are doing, I was reviewing the list of different companies that are being boycotted. Each one of those I am looking into saying, and they're saying that they're going to put in literally tens of billions of dollars into PPE equipment and to make sure that they have a safe environment. And I really do believe that the industry has to do this. I'm actually glad that the industry is taking these steps, not government, because industry knows best what to do for each one of theirs. So whether it's retail, whether it's grocery stores, whether it's hotels, having the industry collectively come up with the right protocols to make sure that their employees feel safe and also consumers feel safe. Because again, we have to remember we have an economy that's 70% consumer driven. And so we have to make sure that consumers, in addition to the employees, also feel safe leaving their homes.
That sounds good, but obviously these people are not happy with what their conditions are. Now, maybe this is about money, but they seem to think it's also about their safety. I'm kind of curious what kind of leverage you think they have. There was a time like a third of the country was in a union. I haven't checked the latest numbers recently, but I think it's under 10% in a union. I may be wrong, but it's a fairly small number. These folks are not in a union per se, so what leverage would they have collectively?
Yeah, you know, I think the reality is that they don't even really need to do leverage for what they're asking for. I think this is, you know, the annual kind of May 1st, Labor Day kind of strikes that we see. But in terms of the leverage, in this particular case, I really do see industry and really the businesses across the country doing their best to try to figure out and making sure that their employee safety is really paramount, in addition to the consumer safety as well.
So you look at this as like a PR step, that these companies will comply because it'll look bad to them otherwise?
I think they're already doing it, is pretty much what I'm saying, is when I talk to multiple folks across industries and different heads of different industry associations, so many of these steps are actually being put forth out there, PPE purchasing and stuff like that. What we need to make sure, though, is that there's consistency from one location to the next, for example. So you go to a restaurant one day that's right next door to one, next door to the other, and their protocols might be different. I think we need to have consistency in those protocols, and really the industry needs to take that upon themselves.
And what are some of the most important issues that you think need to have that consistency?
Yeah, I think the big part, obviously, is the PPE part in terms of how it's going to be practiced, not only for the employees and back of house, especially restaurants. So much of this number of the 30 million really came from a handful of industries, but primarily, if you think about it, the retail sector, the hotel sector, as well as the restaurant sector, and so much of the stuff that we as consumers would frequent every day. There's going to also have to be consistency in the front of the house, right? For example, do you take the temperatures of your customers as they come in through the front door? That really hasn't been discussed yet, and as an industry, I think there needs to be some consistency on there, because I, as a consumer, would want to know that if I go to one restaurant one day and another restaurant right next door to the other, that I can expect the same kind of consistency of protocols to make sure that I'm safe as a consumer.
And Alfredo, we as consumers want to be prepared too.
Yes,
that's right.
Alfredo, thank you very much, sir.